About these because they've got a little bait in them is you can just set them close to where the coon's going to be, and the coon's going to find it. They're quick and easy to set. Got some bait in there, you set it, stick it in the ground, drive your stake, boom, you're good to go. Put your cap on it if you want, put your golf ball on it. As I said earlier, and I forgot to mention, I will now, the one thing about these is, you know, you're swiveling at your stake, you're swiveling at your mid-chain, you're swiveling up here, and you're swiveling down there. The more you can keep that trap from hanging up on something, the better off you are. Now, you start out trapping season in November and everything's cool, but then you get into December and January maybe, and it gets cold. He's got that stuck in the ground, and you check it in the morning or noon and everything's good, but if it's going to freeze that night and you've got that dog proof stuck in the ground and it freezes in, you've just eliminated all your swivel points. That trap's stuck there. That coon gets his foot in there, his foot's going to go numb, he's going to start spinning, and the trap's not. Pretty soon he's going to wring his foot off and be gone. I learned that the hard way. I know there's a three-legged coon running around in my neighborhood. If you know it's going to freeze that night and you're hot on it, you're catching coons, and you know it's going to freeze that night, go ahead and bait it, but wiggle it up. You know, wiggle that hole big so it sets in there real loose. I've even just laid them down on the ground, like maybe over here where there's a little rise in the, you know, put a rock under it or something. So it's not even in the ground, it's just laying there, or just lay them on the ground. They'll still get caught. But don't let these freeze down in December when it starts getting really cold, or you will regret it. Sometimes you can take and put them on you can take a little thin piece of pipe and set these out in the water and put a really heavy fish bait in them. Coons traveling down the bank where it might freeze up, but the water's moving and doesn't freeze up. You can set them out there on a little stand so that they're just out of the water. The coon will smell that, he'll step out there in the water and stick his foot in there. But don't let them freeze down. But when you're out and about, I don't see any around here, but in the next, this is July, about September, late September, once you figure out what they are, when you're driving down the road, you'll start looking for them. And if you find one, it's going to be there year after year after year, and that's what they call a coon trail. You're going to see an opening in the tree line where that grass is in a U shape. It's rounded bottom. And you've got a really hot coon trail, they'll have a path even through this mowed grass. You'll be able to track them from this patch of woods over to that patch of woods. And all you got to do is find that coon trail and set one every 10 feet. Because that coon's going to come along and get caught, your buddy's going to come along and get caught, and you can catch a lot of coons off of coon trails. You know what I mean? And once you find that coon trail, it'll be there next year and the next year and the next year, as long as that wood's not disturbed or any of that habitat around there, because they use it.